All right, hello and welcome everybody to another session where we're going to be discussing offline environments. Today is April 30th and we will be going over integration testing. And with that, Will, please take it away.
Sure, thank you, Todd. So hi everyone, welcome. The aim of this demo is to demonstrate the pipeline that will execute an air-gapped smoke test job, and that will be executed as part of a nightly pipeline. So let me just share my screen. Yeah, everybody see my screen okay?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. So a test pipeline has been set up initially to prove this out. Online environment testing. It's a clone of the actual nightly pipeline, only the GitLab CI YAML has been stripped back so that we could focus really on the air-gap job, but it will be added to the nightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off an air-gap job, an air-gap CI job, because it currently takes about 19 minutes. So let's just kick this off, get it running. Yeah, it looks like it's been picked up. So while that's running, I'll take you through some of the changes that were made. So we'll get a little bit technical here. So first off, a change was made to the GitLab QA gem. A new test instance scenario has been set up, air-gapped. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So this is the scenario for an air-gapped instance. You know, they're kind of templates that allow us to kick off a particular type of test. So the first point of interest here is that there are two networks. In most of our tests, we would utilize a single network. It's usually called tests. It's usually a standard bridge. We do need the GitLab instance on this because we need to be able to reach port 80 with the headless browser that's driven by executing the Selenium tests. However, it will be locked down so that other than port 80, it's air-gapped, a bit like the demo environment. Second network here is one that's going to be shared between the GitLab instance on the runner. It's an internal air-gapped Docker network, and it's the only network that the runner will use. But I can go into that in more detail later. So the next sort of point of interest are these iptables commands. So basically what we're doing here is by default dropping everything apart from more or less port 80, which is our HTTP port, so that the browser can be utilized. So a bit of overhead in installing iptables beforehand. And then we perform a connectivity check. This is based on the connectivity check that we should be familiar with by now. It's the one that's used in the reference demo environment. So you can see it has the same wget check as previously. Exit 1 if it successfully connects, and exit 0 if it fails to connect, which proves out our air-gappedness. It has been surrounded, you know, it's slightly more verbose here. It's been surrounded by some echo comments and dropping the actual output of the field wget, because I was concerned that when it goes into the pipeline, should pipelines need to be debugged in future, the wget failure may be picked up upon as a sort of false negative. So instead, we're going to echo out whether or not we've passed. Well,
I'm not sure if you can read my comment in the chat. It seems that you're only testing the wget comment here, but if you have a DNS failure, that means you will have an error and you consider that air gap network is working correctly, whereas you have no confirmation of that actually. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. We can take that and tweak a little here what we're doing. Awesome.
Yeah, sure.
It's a good point. Yeah, no, can have a look at that afterwards. So yeah, that was the change to the GitLab CI. So let's have a look at the actual template. See what we're doing here. Okay, so first change, the point at which we would usually install the GitLab QA gem. Because we're currently working off branches, there are changes in GitLab and in the GitLab QA gem. There are a few temporary build steps to bring down the branches, build and install the GitLab QA gem, build the GitLab QA Docker image. Very much temporary. Once the changes are reviewed and merged into their actual repositories, GitLab and GitLab QA, that can be wiped. And the actual job itself, so it uses the test instance air gapped and run the smoke tests by using the tag smoke. So yeah, that's more or less the high-level changes. I have a note to top of the demo here to have a look at the scorecard.
Yep. So our step one is to set up the QA test and prove the air gap. So we've sort of walked through here the code that we changed and how we're testing for air gap. We'll show the actual job, and we'll show where it checks for it and it verifies. How should we score this at this point?
So just looking at the definitions on the score definition tab, I'm wondering if it should be a 3. I don't know. I'm open also, but I guess I'm just trying to apply how we have the information defined.
Is that because we haven't merged it to the masters of those projects yet?
Well, I thought more because as Philippe pointed out, it doesn't feel like it's a complete air gap unless I'm missing something. Again, correct me. But
so to summarize, we need to merge these branches, and we also need to expand the air gap check to make sure it doesn't pass because of a DNS failure.
Yeah. Yeah, and those should be relatively minor things, but and maybe we can follow up async on this. So.
Yeah, definitely. Kevin, how does that sound to you? Does 3 seem appropriate?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. I guess the balance there was outputting failures versus having something nice logged, and not having some sort of false positive, such as somebody comes along later and says, "Hey, something has failed here," when it's designed to fail. That's what the actual air gap test is. So yeah, no, need to maybe have a think about that. Okay. So checking in on the pipeline, it's executing away. So we have started kicking off the test. It's created the air gap network, which is internal, kicked off the test network. So that's going to continue executing. What I would like to do is show you one that I kicked off an hour ago so that we know what to expect. So if I skip down to, yep, so the container has been brought up. We can see the IP tables commands have been executed. Then we execute our air gap test, or wget. It passes because the wget fails. So other than port 80, there's no connectivity there. The runner, which is running on the entirely air-gapped network. So you can actually see the network here, internal true. So that network is never going to see the outside world. So the runner runs a similar check, does the wget. We check in and confirm that we cannot wget from the runner. Then if I skip to the bottom, just to show you the smoke test, 0 failures. Everything passed. The pipeline itself is green, the job is green. So yeah, that was our pipeline executed with the job. The GitLab test network has been more or less air-gapped apart from port 80. The runner is on an air-gapped network and the smoke tests pass. So yeah, let's check in on our, this was the one that was kicked off in this tab, so it looks like it's, was it finished? Yeah.
I think you need to go one more tab to the left. This is the previous one. The leftmost tab. This is the one.
Sorry, yes, sorry. It's still running. Yeah, so it usually takes another 10 minutes or so to execute. So
can I ask a couple questions? Or
sure.
I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I can wait till a good breaking point, but it seemed like it was a good breaking point. Okay, so I think I get, it's spinning up a Docker container. It's shutting off access to the outside world except for inbound 80. I get all that. It's doing the air gap kind of test. What are the other tests that it's doing? I saw something on the baked one that said 12 tests or something like that. What else is it doing other than just, or is this just the baseline to check that you've been able to spin it up and it's air gapped?
Sorry, Kevin. Yeah, these are just 12 tests that are part of the smoke test suite. So for this MVC, we wanted to execute the smoke test suite, which are a subset of the full test suite. So these are the tests that are tagged with smoke.
Gotcha. So it's
yep. These are end-to-end tests.
It's basically just a traditional smoke test you would use on for anywhere. You're just seeing if you can get it to work in the air-gapped environment and have it be automated. Is that essentially?
That's it, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure because I wasn't following it first, and anybody watching the video might have had the same confusion. So I just wanted to ask that question. No, I think I understand now.
And this suite of tests, these smoke tests run every night based on a nightly image. There's a whole set of tests additional to the smoke tests that run. So we test Omnibus, Docker, everything. So this will just be part of our normal nightly run so that we can verify there are no regressions for offline environments, not specific to secure analyzers necessarily, but for the whole GitLab app.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Okay, thanks.
So the live job it's running through its usual setting up GitLab, running through some chef playbooks, etc. Setting myself up. While that's happening, do you want me to take you through some more of the changes that were made to the code, or are we interested in getting to the low-level code, or are we happy enough to watch the pipeline executing?
When you say the code, do you mean the Ruby gem that was developed to execute these, or the pipeline code?
Oh no, it would be the changes made to the Ruby gem and to the QA directory in GitLab.
Kevin, do you think that customers watching would be interested in that level of technical detail?
Probably not, but potentially. I mean,
maybe we could link to the merge requests in the video description. So if somebody is interested in digging further, how would that be?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, Ruby is pretty easy to read, even if you don't write it. So, like I was able to follow most of what you showed earlier. So even though I'm not a Ruby developer, but, and most of the customers working with us said Ruby was lower on their list of priorities for languages. So assuming that they're not, versed in Ruby, but.
So just there now on the live execution, IP tables commands have been executed on the GitLab instance container. The connectivity check is executed and has passed because the wget failed. And then it's starting up the air-gapped test suite. And these
so
are
next we should see the runner check as well, right?
Yeah, some of the tests will kick off the runner, and then it'll show you the runner.
I realize this is an MVC, but another potential improvement might be to, I know in the previous demos, we were doing the wget in that air gap check test job, but since this is something that's going to run more often, another potential improvement to the MVC might be to probe a couple of extra force a couple of other port checks, because the wget basically is verifying outbound 80 from the look of it, right? I think it was an HTTP. And from the other ports that we had provided, it might not be a bad idea to do a definitive, a proactive check on different ports, but I think that could be outside of the MVC, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. We have the list of those 4 ports that we've used in previous demos, so we can add that. And to make sure that we're clear, in the normal nightly pipeline, there are, 4 dozen or so jobs that are executed for various subsets of tests. So that's why here we don't have a separate air gap check job, because all of those other ones would not be air gapped. It's just this particular job has the air gapped code.
Yeah, this CI project allowed us to focus really on the air gap job.
Is the post MVC obviously is the plan to expand the number of existing automated jobs against this using the same technique? Right now it's doing the 12 smoke tests, the kind of baseline, right?
You've got it exactly right.
Yeah, okay. Because I do know there's a couple ones that I'm assuming you have automated tests for that probably will fail air gap, but there are already issues for, just as a FYI. Not in the secure, like auto DevOps. I don't know if you have the one for that in your full suite, but if you run that air gap, I'm pretty sure auto DevOps will fail as well. There's a couple other minor ones, I think, but just as an FYI, if you start expanding this and eventually running the full suite on this air gap instance, you may get a few things that would fail that you're not used to. That's all.
Yeah, so going forward, definitely there is a need there to flesh out the specs. The current test suite is, it could be do with being expanded with automation around the analyzers, the test projects. But I guess for the target of the MVC, the purposes of the demo, our focus initially was just on the smoke tests.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I was just thinking out loud.
Sure.
For post MVC. I'm just super excited. So, sorry.
No, it's good.
Come off any other way.
It's all good. So yeah, one of the tests has generated a runner. The runner connected to the air gap network, run through the wget air gap check, the wget failed. So yeah, the runner itself was running. Yeah, so it looks like that job finished. 12 examples with 0 failures. Job succeeded, and the pipeline itself, because it's only a single job, pipeline succeeded. So yeah, so we've seen EE getting the GitLab instance being locked down, the runner being locked down, the smoke test executing. So yeah, as we've been discussing it ongoing, there is going to be more work involved. And initially we do want to get the merge requests into a master for GitLab and GitLab QA when they've been signed off and reviewed. The CI job, we want to get into the nightly pipeline, and you'd have definitely expand out our specs in terms of analyzers and test project coverage. So yeah, I think I have a note here to check the demo scorecard again.
Yeah, excellent. So this step is supposed to run the full QA regression test suite, so we're only showing off the smoke test here. So it's definitely not a 5 for that alone. What should we score this? What do you think?
Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I had trouble. I was having trouble accessing the document for some reason on my side. Let's see. Okay, so we're on row 38, S38, right? Just to confirm.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
I added a note here that the MVC was the smoke test and that we need to expand to the full
gotcha.
regression. Are there any other things that, I don't think there was anything else we talked about, but am I misremembering?
Yeah, well, we definitely made progress, and it was really great to see what we have running and how it's automated and everything. So I think that's really neat. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions on this one, honestly, because I just the.
So I would say minimally it's a 4. Minimally, it could very well be a 5, right? And so, and the reason it's a 4 is because if it was to run the smoke test for MVC, we've achieved that, right?
Yes, if it was a smoke test, I would say 5. Correct.
Okay.
So then I just don't know what the difference, like how you rate the difference.
Yeah. So the basically, as an engineer, I can only say 4 since you're representing the customer.
And maybe I'm being harsh, but I would actually say that this is probably a 5, or probably a 3. As written here, it says full QA regression test suite, and we're only doing the smoke. So I think realistically, there's still work to be done here to expand out further. I would say this is probably a 3.
So there's a conflict, I guess, then that I want to understand, because if the MVC was the smoke test, and I feel like you've met that for the MVC. So I mean, you tell me, Tanya. I'm happy either way.
I think maybe we have a confusion here on the MVC for doing a demo versus MVC versus for being done with the
Gotcha.
work and feeling like it's in a good state. I think there's still work to do getting more than just a smoke test in here. I don't want to be too generous with ourselves when we're still gonna, even if we don't demo again, there's still a lot of work that we're going to be doing behind the scenes to make sure that this is in a good state.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. If that's where you want to be, I'm good. Yeah, a 3 sounds great.
Yeah. Based on the full, if the goal is to be full QA regression, then yeah, I would give it a 3. And if the goal was the smoke, then it was a 5. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
I'd rather be conservative here, and we can always.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Will, do you want to stop sharing so I can share the demo scorecard and the?
All right.
No, I think that's great. I think we're making really good progress. I'm really excited to see these tests being incorporated into the automated, so that they can be, a great foundation for building upon, as we move forward. So that we're aware of, things that break in the air gapped environment, or regress in the air gapped environment. So I am sure our customers will be very excited as this progresses. So thank.
And sorry, I realized when I was showing this off, I was muted, and I was trying to explain it at the same time. But hopefully, you all saw it and got it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to cover before I end the recording? All right. Thank you so much, Will and Tanya. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.